after you sent that question, I thought, what would I truly want to be able to do for that one lesson? And thinking about it, I thought I've kind of been doing it, like not knowing I've been doing this. It's been my kind of my message behind all of my lessons as a teacher, as a coach, as an athletic director, as an assistant principal, and as a principal now. I think that I've kind of stuck to that. So that's a little comforting, knowing that I've aligned my why to what lesson I would teach. My lesson would be, it would begin with, it would be about happiness and the pursuit of our happiness. But it would begin with understanding our people, the Diné people, our Navajo people, our way of life, our definition of happiness, which may be very different from the Western world. Our definition of happiness is boils down to just a large family who loves one another. Happiness and wealth is really, in our traditional values and beliefs, boils down to our relationships with the people we love. As we live in a very different world here in the center of the Navajo Nation now, we live in a world that is very traditional in our cultural beliefs, and we live in a world that is very modern with every single Western modern convenience that we can think of. It's for our kids, for our future, I think it's valuable to be able to understand, believe, and practice our traditional values and beliefs and ceremonies and customs, but be able to use the modern world and all of its natural conveniences and tools to be able to define our own happiness, what that may be, and then to build our tools to be able to become successful in pursuing it. I think the world for the modern Native American is going to be very different in 10 to 20 years. And to be able to give our students the tools and abilities needed to not just define their happiness, but then go pursue it for their life way would be my lesson. As everything we do is flipped a little bit from the Western world, especially in the area of education. Outside of the reservation, I've seen many schools and districts who focus mostly on state curriculum, and that is their centerpiece, where they then try to teach the children that curriculum and those state standards because it's required. Here, it's a little bit different. Here, we put the student at the center, and we create our curriculum and our practices around our culture. And so we have our students and our culture as our centerpiece. And from there, we take our curriculum and inject the lessons and standards that we need to cover. When we wake up every morning, we start thinking about our day. And as we're getting ready for the day, we start planning what our day is going to look like. And then we begin our day and we live that plan. And then as we live that plan throughout the day and we go home, we then reflect on our day and we think about what we did all day long and if we were successful or not. And as we go to bed that night, we begin thinking about the next day and how we can refine our practices to be more successful the next day. Yeah, so in our Navajo culture, we have a phrase that is commonly pronounced hajan, and it translates very roughly to balance or finding balance or living in balance. And then the pursuit of balance. And so when we're talking about the old values and traditional beliefs of our culture in teaching and ceremony and life way, as it relates to a modern world, a lot of times we have to live with this philosophy of hajan, balancing the old with the new and the predictive future, and staying aligned to our values and beliefs of our traditional culture as it relates to us in a modern world and the future of our world and the future of our people in our tribe. So like my children, they are living a much different world than I lived when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. They are living a very different world, and my job as their father is to give them those teachings that were given to me and actions in those teachings and ceremonies, and translate that to the predictive future that they're going to live in. My hope for them is that they find their happiness while being rooted in our culture, however it may be for them. And that might be living on the reservation somewhere and having a career where they're connecting the people through technology worldwide, and living in a career that is connecting them worldwide. And hopefully they're happy sharing who they are as a Navajo person and contributing to whatever way that they're choosing to live in their career and their family, rooted in our culture still. Because I think our culture has a lot to still give the world. My vision for our kids is to purely be able to pursue their happiness, in whatever way they define happiness. For me, yeah, it was to go off and get an education and use my education to better our kids and our communities, specifically here on the reservation. I don't want to peg hold any of our kids to coming back here. That's not an expectation. However, if their happiness does revolve around bettering our people, there's no better place to do it than right here at home, grassroots, with their feet on our sacred soil, helping our people. I would love to see that for them. However, if somebody wants to go off and pursue a degree in biological marine biology, then hopefully they can go and do that in the oceans and things like that, because we do have connections worldwide from our culture. White shell woman was viewed as first woman in our culture, and she came from the ocean. So what better way for our kids to connect to our creation story than to become a marine biologist and see the science behind white shell woman and where our first deity came from, and how that connects to the world and can better the world and create a healthier marine environment, which will then influence the entire world. And then maybe that person does choose to come back here and look at the waterways on Navajo with the sacred water that we have here in its limited supply, and how we can better improve water supply here for our people. We never know the possibilities. Yeah, there's a teaching that we have that is that everything can be a poison. Everything can be a poison, and everything cannot be a poison. So a phone can be a very positive tool, yet it could also be a poison. It's just having too much or too little of something. So modern monsters that plague the Navajo people, like diabetes and hypertension, and when COVID hit, that was considered a monster because we had the perfect storm of a lack of water, lack of health services, lack of ICU beds and things like that. And then our beliefs in that we shake hands with people and we greet people and we're close and we don't hide our faces and our expressions. All of those things kind of created this perfect storm for COVID to just blow up on the Navajo Nation. But the idea that everything can be a poison, and everything can be a medicine, it's just having too much or too little of something. So alcohol, for example, there's a lot of alcoholism on the Navajo Nation. Even though it's a dry reservation, alcohol is prohibited. It's still here, and there's a lot of addiction here on the reservation. Can a person in a modern world limit alcohol consumption to be a happy person and have alcohol and for whatever a person may choose to have alcohol for? Yeah, they can. It's just when you have too much of it, it becomes a poison. Water is essential to life, but if you have too much of it, it can literally flush your body and be a poison. It's just balance. So again, Hajo, the balance of our physical being, our mentality, our spirituality. Everything can be a poison. It's just having too much or too little of something. The practice and application of the simple beliefs of holding on to the traditional values of distance running in our culture and using that to become successful in a modern world of competition and racing, earning scholarships to go to college, getting a degree, and getting a career to better themselves in life is the pursuit of happiness that I align that one lesson that I would say that I would want to teach, and that is holding on to our traditional values, using them to better themselves in a modern world and pursue their happiness in career and family, and changing the life cycle of their life and their future families. I guess the values that we believe in is family, it's self-discipline, it's hard work. The phrase "awajit ego," you have to do it for yourself. No one's going to do it for you. It's up to you. We believe that work can be fun, and it should be fun because it should benefit the family. So doing it with the intent that what you're putting into it, when you're putting the work in, it should be happy work. So the outcome is then positive and happy. Like when we create jewelry, when I am silversmithing, I am literally thinking and saying good things as I create this piece of jewelry. So when I gift it, it's not just a gift of a piece of jewelry or silver or turquoise. It's a gift that is physically maybe beautiful, but it also is a gift of my positive thoughts and intentions for that person by way of creating this item and giving it to them.